All right, so we live. This is a Thursday scripture breakdown class with Captain Gadalhar. Captain Gadalhar will be with us shortly. If anybody has any questions in the class, you can ask your questions. If anybody online watching, you can ask your questions. Anybody online has any questions, please go ahead and type in those questions in the chat box. Once again, this is Thursday scripture breakdown class. This is where you come and ask all your questions concerning the Bible. We'll break them down for you. Please like and share. Make sure you like this class, share this class, leave a comment, support this truth. Make sure you're paying your tithes to the ISUPK. We also have the Passover coming up in April. April 15th is the Passover. You want to book your flights. You want to buy your tickets to get into the Passover. $200 fee. Anyone over 17, I believe. We just celebrated the Feast of Perim, right? We went over the history of the Feast of Perim. That was a glorious day. All of you guys in here were here that day, right? You weren't here? You were here, right? You were here too? For the second day? The second day, okay, so mostly everybody in the class was here for the Feast of Purim. It's a glorious day. You understand an absolute glorious part of history in our culture on how the Most High was with Esther and Malachi, even when they had they didn't have any assurance from the Most High as far as him appearing to Malachi or Esther. You understand? But because they stood strong with the Most High, he delivered them, not only them, but the whole nation of Israel. You understand? So with that being said, no questions. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go over into some history out of Captain Katazar's book that he just came out with, that he just published, called Son of Issachar. Have you guys heard about it? You guys haven't heard about it? Well, you guys should definitely get that book. It's not a very long book, but it's very informative. He has it on Amazon, and you can also order it to get a physical copy. And he's basically just going into the tribe of Issachar, uh, bringing out things that he brought out in his lecture concerning the tribe of Issachar. Right, so it's definitely a book you want to get. We're gonna go into that, bring some stuff up out of there to prove that the Hispanics, so-called Mexicans, are from the 10 tribes of Israel. All right, so we're gonna start off there. Let's see. Let me grab some pages from there real quick. But first, I did want to touch on a precept. Let's go to the book of the Apocrypha. Let's go to Second Ezra 6. No, Second Ezra 32 and Second Ezra 32 and 7. Okay. Let's see here. No, it's Ecclesiasticus 32 and 7. Salakia. All right. Whenever you have it, go ahead and read it, Baba Kusha. Go ahead, Warrior. You got it.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 32, verse 6, as a signet of an emerald set in a word.
Okay, it's the next verse, 32 and 7, right? Go ahead.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 32, verse 7. Speak, young man.
Speak who?
Speak, young man.
Speak, young man. You understand? We have one young man in here. You're a young man in the truth, right? So it's saying, speak, young man. This is also for any troopers in the school. This can also be applied to sisters, right? Go ahead.
Speak, young man, if there be need of thee.
If there be what?
If there be need of thee.
If there be need of thee. Speak, young man, if there be need of thee. Meaning what? Meaning if someone is, asking you a question, wanting to talk to you, you're a young brother in the truth. You just walked in the door. You're a trooper. So if there's need of you to speak, meaning if there's somebody asking you a question, then you should speak, right? Go ahead.
And yet scarcely when thou art twice asked.
And scarcely when thou art twice asked. Does anybody know what that means? Scarcely. Respond scarcely if you are asked twice. Go ahead, sis. A little of, scarcely. Let's look up the word scarcely. So the top part means, speak, young man, if there be need of thee, meaning, somebody, if you need to speak, go ahead and speak. But not exactly, sis.
This is the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of scarcely.
Mm-hmm.
By a narrow margin, almost not, certainly not, and probably not.
Okay, so read that part again, and yet scarcely.
And yet scarcely when thou art twice asked.
And yet scarcely when thou art twice asked, meaning he asks you a question and then he asks you another question. Hey brother, how you doing? How'd you come into the truth? Or what tribe are you from? That you need to respond. You're not just gonna ignore the brother. So you say, well, I'm from the tribe of Judah. And then he asks you another question. Well, how'd you come into the truth? Now he asked you twice. So now you scarcely respond, meaning you watching what you say. You understand? You're being careful of how you speak, of your words. You don't want to make yourself look, you don't want to make yourself look bad. You understand? So just, you're watching what you say. You're watching your mouth. You're aware of what you're saying. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 8. Let thy speech be short.
Let thy speech be short. Go ahead.
Comprehending much in few words.
Meaning making your speech short. You're not just running your mouth. A lot of times, when young brothers come into truth, or even sisters, you might speak too much, and you might talk about the things you did in the world. Especially, you speak about things you did in the world, and you glorify those things. You understand? And you shouldn't be glorifying the things that you're doing in the world, because that makes you look bad. It's like you're still in the world. You're still in the world because you're still glorifying those things. And also, a brother comes in here and he comes from a gang bang background, or the things he did in the world he's proud of. In here, that doesn't matter. So if you come in here thinking that you're going to get rank and respect and authority based on who you were in the world, nobody cares about that. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter in here. What matters in here is how well you serve the Most High. So let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words, meaning be concise, be short. Don't just start running your mouth. All right? Go ahead.
Be as one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue.
There you go. Be as one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue. Just because you know something doesn't mean it should be said. You understand? You need to know when not to speak. You need to know when to speak. Be as one that knoweth and yet you hold your tongue. Some things don't need to be said. Or maybe it shouldn't be said at this time. You understand? Go ahead. Verse 9.
If thou be among great men, make not thyself equal with them.
And don't make yourself equal with the men above you. 10,000, 5,000. Don't make yourself equal with them. Go ahead.
And when ancient men are in place,
Mm-hmm.
use not many words.
There you go. Use not many words. So it's basically saying what it said in verse 8. Go ahead.
Before the thunder goeth lightning.
Before the thunder goeth lightning, meaning, can anyone break that down? Before the thunder goeth lightning? What is that referring to? It's real simple. When I got the breakdown, I was like, I thought it was heavy, but it's literally what it's saying. Before the thunder goeth lightning. Somebody want to give it a shot? Go ahead, sis.
So before there's thunder, there's like a lightning strike. So like there's a flash of light before the sound of thunder.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's saying. It's saying what it says, right? So what General Muhammad pointed out is that back then we understood science. Like people don't think that science is in the Bible, So they say I believe in science. I don't believe in the Bible. But there's plenty of examples. There's been one of them where science is in the Bible. The Bible is science, because even then we knew that the speed of light. What does it say? It says, what verse is that? 10. before the thunder goeth lightning. We knew that the speed of light was faster than the speed of sound. You understand? So we been knew that back then. Meaning what? The Bible is science. You understand? Science is in the Bible. Science comes from the Most High. Really. Keep going.
Before the thunder.
You can you go grab that from me? Up? So then it continues to say, verse 10 says, before the thunder goeth lightning. So before that there's thunder, you see lightning, you see a lightning bolt. No, what did you say? Salaki. Right, so before the thunder is lightning. First you see the lightning, and then you hear the thunder. You understand? And then it says, and before a shamefaced man shall go favor. So what is that saying? It's talking about, I use an example with the young man or even a sister coming into the truth. If you come in here and you're not shamefaced, but you still, you're proud of who you were in the world, and you're not shamefaced, you're not going to receive favor. You understand? How do you receive favor? You got to come in here and have a shame face. You got to know that who you were in the world was a person that's not right in the eyes of the Most High. You understand? You coming in shamefaced. You're not coming in here. So you want to take the class over? Come on, sir. So you want to come in here shamefaced, and then you'll get favor. You understand? The same way that is making the comparison with the thunder and the lightning. Y'all understand that? You guys understand? You understand, sis? Okay. All right. So now, with that being said, anybody have any questions on those verses? No? You to Wabak? Okay. So now we're going to go into the book of Captain Katazar that he published. All right. So now, if you could, right? If you could look up this person for me. If you could look up Bernard de Sahugun. It's BERNARD space DE space SAHUGUN. And then you got it? Yeah, it's like his Wikipedia should pop up. It's gonna give you a small description about him. Yeah, if you could.
Bernardino de Sahagún was
Hold on, Salaki. 1 second. I believe we have a mic here. Is that one right? This one? Come on, sir. If you could, just so you can hear him. People watching can hear the brother. Shalom, what's going on? What's going on? Up? So you can go ahead and read that for me, Up.
Bernardino de Sahagún was a
Franciscan
friar, missionary priest, pioneer,
ethnographer,
who participated in the Catholic
evangelization
of colonial New Spain.
Colonial New Spain. That's talking about Mexico, right? That's why it's called New Spain. It's talking about Mexico. So this guy was involved in going to Mexico and converting the Indians into Catholics, into Catholicism, right? So he was among the Indians. He was living with them, studying them, trying to understand their culture. Not him, but many other Spaniards, right? Trying to understand their culture, the way of life, and just everything, right? Keep going.
Born in Sahagún, Spain in 1499, he journeyed to New Spain in 1529. That's just a story.
Okay, so this guy was a Franciscan Catholic, right? He was He was part of the Catholic Church. Okay, so now we're going to read page 13 out of Captain Katazar's book. All right, and it says, Bernard de Sahagún was one of the very first preachers in New Spain, Mexico. He was also a Franciscan Spaniard who spent 60 years amongst the Indians. So this man spent 60 years amongst the Indians, which is like more than half of your life, right? He acquired a great proficiency in the knowledge of the Aztec language and history. So he knew their language, he knew their history. So in order for him to learn these things, he was what? Talking to the Aztecs, conversing with them, trying to understand them, basically. Sahagún, amongst his many other works, was most famous for his 4-volume compilation entitled General History of New Spain. One of the many facts the Franciscan had brought out in his history in support of the Aztecs being one of the lost tribes of Israel was that Montezuma himself, king of the Aztecs. If you guys aren't familiar with Montezuma, he was the Aztec king when Hernan Cortez appeared in Mexico, right? At the arrival of Hernando Cortez, Spanish conquistador, Montezuma had related to him the fact that his ancestors came from the east. So now Montezuma told Bernard de Sahagún that his ancestors came from the east. Of course, this is referring to the migration that the 10 tribes did from the captivity of Assyria to a land where no man dwelt, and that's in the Apocrypha. So we're going to read that real quick. All right. This is what is that? Second Esdras 13 and 40. That sounds right. It's in Second Esdras 13 and 40. Okay. Second Esdras 13 and verse 40. Whoever got it, you can go to read it, all right?
The book of Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king. So Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves.
So when the 10 tribes were taken into captivity under the Syrian Empire, because we sinned against the Most High, we took counsel amongst ourselves. Go ahead.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
We said we got to get out of this place because this is ran by heathens, right? We can't keep our laws here. Go ahead.
And go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So they decided we need to go to a land where no man has ever dwelt. Keep going.
That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. So that's verse 43. Go ahead and read. Skip down to verse 45. Book of Second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go.
Actually, you know what? No, keep going. Salakia.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called
Asareth, right? Which is in Hebrew, Aratzazah, meaning earth. So basically, the part we need to focus on is in verse 41, towards the end of the verse where it says, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So our plan was to go to a land where no man had ever dwelt, right? And we just read where in history where Montezuma told Hernan Cortez that his ancestors came from the east, right? And this is the 10 tribes of Israel in the Bible that are living in the east, the Assyrian Empire, which is located in the east, to a land where no man dwelt. So now we're going to go into another book called, let me see here, The 10 Tribes of Israel, or the True History. It's called The 10 Tribes of Israel, or the True History of the North American Indians, showing that they are the descendants of the 10 tribes of these 10 tribes. Now, it also goes into Mexicans and other native people of this land. It's not just North American Indians, right? So we're gonna go to. Let me see if I can find the page real fast. This book was written in 1883 by Timothy R. Jenkins, born 1821. So this is an old book. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so it's here, right? It says the following is taken from the Apocrypha, 2nd Esdras 13 and 40 through 45, which is what we just read, to show when the 10 tribes left the eastern country to come to a land not inhabited by man, right? Which is what we just went over. These are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. And so came they into another land. But they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country whenever mankind dwelt. So that's what we just read, right? In the Apocrypha, right? All right. So it says, okay, I'll skip down. Now, what are we to learn from the foregoing history? First, we are taught that they understood the geography of the country and the distance they must travel in order to get to this land where no man dwelt. And second, that there was no country in the east, but what was more or less inhabited by man, meaning they were trying to go to a land where no man dwelt, right? So in the east where they were at, all the lands there were inhabited already. So they couldn't have gone to a land in the east, right? And second, that there was no country in the east, but what was more or less inhabited by man, and consequently, America was the only country at that time known that was not inhabited by man. So the only country at that time that was known where it wasn't inhabited by man was the Americas, right? Which links up what? That Montezuma's forefathers or ancestors come from the east. You understand? So now, that being said, there's tons of history showing clearly that so-called Mexicans, because that's what Captain Katazar went into, the Mexicans, right? But his book also goes into Peruvians. It goes into other so-called Hispanics, right? So now we're going to go into proving that so-called Negroes in America are also of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? So we're going to go into in this book here called From Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Rudolph R. Windsor. All right. And does anybody have their compact Bible dictionary? Nah. All right. If you could look up Ham in his book for me, Alatazar, and just hold it for me. We're gonna have to bring that out to show that the so-called Negroes in America are not in any way, shape, or form related to so-called Africans. You understand? Because that's a misconception that we have. And that's even and proving that is going to show and help us understand that makes Hispanics, so-called Hispanics and Negroes even closer. It's going to make you see even more clear that we can be one people. Because that's one issue people have is, well, how can Black people and Hispanics who don't look alike, they have different hair, they have different hair texture, they look different. How can they be one people? And proving that Africans and Black people are not the same is going to help us understand that. All right. So I'm going to go into this book, From Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Rudolph R. Windsor. We're going to go to page, what is it, 87, 82? 62. 84. All right, so I'll just go ahead and read it. It's page 84. It says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem, right? In 70 AD, 70 years after Christ's death, General Vespasian and his son, Titus, put an end to the Jewish state. So these Romans, they destroyed Jerusalem, right? With great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over a million Jews fled into Africa. Now, okay, fleeing Roman persecution and slavery. Can someone explain to me why would the Jews flee into Africa? Go ahead,
They were getting persecuted.
Yeah. Okay. and because, you understand, they look like Africans, right? Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery, the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Why does it say black Jewish slaves? Because the so-called black people that fled Jerusalem, right? That fled Jerusalem were actually black people. You understand? They were black people, not Africans. All right, and we're about to prove that right now. Go ahead and get that from y'all in the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Let the brothers know and the sisters know what page you're in.
Well, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 213.
213.
Ham.
Okay.
The youngest son of Noah.
Ham is the youngest son of Noah, right? You guys don't know who Noah is. He's the one who survived the flood. He had 3 sons. One of them was Ham. Go ahead.
Born probably about 96 years before the flood.
Uh-huh.
And one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
Right.
He became the progenitor.
The what?
The progenitor.
Anybody knows what progenitor means? Go ahead, sis. Let's look it up. It sounds right, Salakia. But let's go ahead and look it up and get the exact definition.
Progenitor, a person or thing from which a person, animal, or plant is descended or originates, an ancestor or parent.
Ancestor or parent, right? So though he's the progenitor, Ham is the forefather, the parent, right? Go ahead.
He became the progenitor of the dark races.
Of the dark races. So just reading that, we think that everyone that's dark comes from Ham, right? Keep going.
He became the progenitor of the dark races. Not the Negroes.
Not the what?
Not the Negroes.
Now, Negroes we know are dark people, brown-skinned people, right? But it says that he's the progenitor of what? The dark races, but not the Negroes. Now, I don't need to explain who the Negroes are. It's not the Africans. It's not the East Indians. We know Negroes is the people in the hood with Mexicans, in the hood with Latinos, sadly, in Planned Parenthood with other sisters. We know who the Negroes are. You understand? Now, when you get a chance, keep reading.
He became the progenitor of the dark races. Not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes. Go ahead.
But
the
Egyptians,
Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. That's the Africans. So the black people that were in the slave markets, black Jewish slaves, is talking about Negroes. You understand? So yes, Negroes are dark. They're brown. Africans are brown. They're dark. But that doesn't make them the same people. You understand? It doesn't make them brother and sister. They're the same blood. We just read it. You understand? So it's not about skin tone, how you look. It's about who you come from, who you descend from. You understand? Now let me get Zephaniah 2:1.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1.
Now hold up. Out of the Babylon of Timbuktu, when it says, so like I'm gonna go back to this. In the paragraph we just read, it says the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. What slave markets are they referring to? Go ahead up. No, the slave markets. Okay, how did the black Jewish slaves get into slavery? When it says the slave markets, what slave markets are they talking about? What part of history? Go ahead up. Okay, when they fled to Africa. But how did they become slaves? How did the black people who were Jews who escaped from Jerusalem into Africa, how did they become slaves? Go ahead up. Right. They were enslaved by Africans. They were sold by Africans too. So like, what is this? He said it to the so-called white man. And the white man had what? Slave markets. You understand? He had slave markets. So the people that were in slavery were who?
Israelites, Jews.
That's
Dark-skinned
true.
Negroes.
That's true. Negroes. Negroes, you understand? Negroes were in slavery, or otherwise known in here, black Jewish slaves. Now, real quick, let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 68. This was prophesied to happen to the Israelites for disobeying the Most High.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
And the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, meaning, okay, so here it's saying Moses, right? They're in Jerusalem. And Moses is saying what? Read that part again for me.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Oh, from the top.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
The Lord is going to bring you into Egypt again with ships, meaning if you disobey the Lord, you're going back to Egypt in ships. Now, from where they're at, you don't need a ship to go back to Egypt.
Right.
There's no water, right? So what is he talking about when he says the Lord's going to put you in ships, take you back to Egypt? Is he talking about Egypt, the place that they just came out from?
No.
It's not talking. So go ahead, brother. Slavery, right? Meaning he's gonna take you back into slavery, which is the same thing that he did to the 10 tribes. He took them into slavery under the Assyrians. Why? Because we were worshiping statues, we were worshiping other gods. You understand? Keep going up.
Shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And
you're not going to see this land again where we're at right now. To this day, we so-called Negroes are not in Jerusalem. You understand? We are. You guys are in America, along with your brothers, the northern tribes. Right. We're in America and every other part of the earth, but we are not in Jerusalem. Right. You understand? We're under captivity where we're at right now. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your
You shall be what?
Ye shall be sold.
You shall be sold. That's the slave markets right there. Right. You shall be sold unto your enemies. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
To your who?
To your enemies.
To your enemies. We got enemies on the earth. You understand? So-called Israelites, we have enemies on the earth. Go ahead.
For bondmen.
For bond what?
Bondmen and bondwomen.
And bondwomen. That's slaves. Right. Slave markets. The markets were full of black Jewish slaves. I'm quoting out of the book we just read, of Babylon the 10 book 2. That was prophesied in the Bible. That piece of history came from the Bible, prophesied by Moses. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
Meaning no man is going to be able to free you from this bondage you're going to be in. Right. Not Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. You understand? The only man that can free you is a man who serves Christ. And right now that man is who? Go ahead, say it. Damn right, Commanding General Yohana. Why? Because he serves. He's the one that Christ chose to lead Israel in this time. So therefore, who's the only person that can free us out of bondage? Go ahead, sis. Close. Go ahead, Doc. Christ, Yahweh Shai. You understand? All right. So with that being said, let me get a Zephaniah 2:1.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together.
Gather what?
Gather yourselves together.
Gather yourselves together. Go ahead.
Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
O nation not desired. You understand? We are that nation that's not desired. Black, Hispanics, American Indians. We are that nation that isn't desired. Right. I almost forgot about the Native Americans. Let me bring a little piece out about them. This is once again from the 10 tribes of Israel. Let me see. Get into it. Here it says what? It says, it is said, so we're reading out of the book that we read about the 10 tribes of Israel. It is said among their principal or beloved men that they have it handed down from their ancestors that the book which the white people have was once theirs. Now that book is talking about the Bible. You understand? The Bible was once theirs. They knew that, and they heard that from what? Not from Esau, not from the so-called white man, but from their ancestors. It's something that was passed down, that what the Bible was once theirs. Wait up.
What book is this?
This is the 10 tribes of Israel. Okay. And I'll read a little bit more, that while they had it, they prospered exceedingly. So while they had this Bible, they prospered exceedingly. Why? Because they were keeping the laws in the Bible. They had the Bible. They were following the Bible. That while they had it, they prospered exceedingly, but that the white people bought it of them and learned many things from it, while the Indians lost their credit, offended the Great Spirit. They call the Most High the Great Spirit, and suffered exceedingly from neighboring nations. That the Great Spirit took pity on them and directed them to this country. That's what we just read. You understand? That the Great Spirit took pity on them and directed them to this country. That's talking about what? The Assyrian Empire. Us is leaving it and coming to this country, which is what? North America. You understand? That on their way, they came to a great river, which they could not pass, when God dried up the waters and they passed over dry shod. They also say that the forefathers were possessed. So it's all going into, this is just stuff that's passed down to them. So once again, it's not accurate. You understand? Like, for example, I'll bring another example out. It says here, I'll read a little paragraph, and Captain Katazar brings this out in his lecture as well. It says, Mr. Adair, who has written the history of the Indians and who deserves great credit for his industry and improving their great and uncommon opportunities he enjoyed, tells us that the Southern Indians have a tradition that when they left their own native land, they brought with them a sanctified rod by order of an oracle, which they fixed every night in the ground, and were to remove from place to place on this continent towards the rising of the sun. That's the east, right? The rising of the sun is the east. Till it budded in one night's time that they obeyed the sacred oracle. And the miracle at last took place after they arrived on this side of the Mississippi, on the present land they possess. This was the sole cause of their settling here, or fighting so firmly for their reputed holy land and holy things, that they may be buried with their beloved forefathers. This seems to be taken from Aaron's rod. So it's correlating with the story of Aaron's rod in the Bible. So this is just stuff that was passed down to them. So some of the stuff might not be fully accurate, you understand? But they're just things that are passed down. You know, things that are passed down through voice, they're gonna get chopped up and screwed. You know what I mean? But the point is what? They knew that through their ancestors, the Bible belonged to them. Right. You understand? All right, so with that being said, let me get anybody have any questions? No questions? All right. Let me get the book of Matthew 1:1. Let me see online. Any questions online? Grisha Brown, I have a question. What's your question, sis? Grisha Brown, you have a question? Okay, she said, if I hurt a person, no matter the race, should I ask for forgiveness, or they forgive me no matter the race or whatever? If I hurt a person, no matter the race, so if you hurt someone, should you ask for forgiveness, or they forgive me? Okay, first, you shouldn't hurt anybody. You shouldn't hurt anyone, but if you hurt someone, you understand? You shouldn't hurt anybody. But if you did hurt somebody, regardless of the race, if it's your brother, and if you didn't have especially if you didn't have the right, then yes, you should repent. You understand? You should repent from hurting your brother, especially if you didn't have a cause. Now, if you have a cause to hurt your brother, you shouldn't do it anyway. You understand? Who knows that scripture? You resist not evil. Somebody get that for me.
If I may,
Yeah.
also with that,
Mm-hmm.
resist not evil, because you use forgive your brother 7 times.
Bring that one out too. Bring that one out, right?
Matthew 5.
And someone give me Romans 13 and 14.
The book of Matthew chapter 5, verse 39. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth.
So in the law, it says that if someone hurts you, you can hurt them, right? That's justice, right? That's in the law. But that's the written law. Katazar was just going over this in class. That's the law. So Christ was teaching us the spirit of the law. So keep going.
Verse 39. But I say unto you.
So he's saying, but what I'm saying to you is, go ahead.
That ye resist not evil.
Okay, so anybody know what he means by that? That you resist not evil? Go ahead up.
Refrain from doing evil, like necessarily stay away from.
Okay, that's true. Sticking to the topic, sticking to what we just read. Go ahead, sis. Don't be vengeful. That's more on it. That's more on it. So he's saying you resist not evil, meaning this brother hurt you. So now you're going to hurt him. He's saying you don't resist that. You don't resist the evil. So because of the evil thing he did to you, you say, well, I can do it to him. Right? So Christ is saying you resist not evil. Like, meaning you should resist hurting him back. You understand? Go ahead up.
That ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And
whosoever offend thee, meaning if somebody hurts you, offends you, you should turn to them the right cheek. Now, this isn't literal. It doesn't mean turn the other cheek and let them punch you in the other side of your face.
Right.
It's meaning what? Forgive them.
Right.
You understand? If someone offends you, you should forgive them. Now, of course, you should go up to them, right? Because Christ also said in Matthew 18 and 15, right? Matthew 18 and 15, if somebody offends you, you should go to them, you and them alone, and tell them how they offended you. Now, in the ISUPK, it says if you're not in the school yet, so you should definitely get in the school so that you can learn about forgiveness, right? About forgiveness. You can learn about it. Christ said if somebody offends you, go to them and you alone and tell them how they offended you so that they can what? So that they can forgive you, right? Keep going on that precept up.
Ye have heard that it have been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you that ye resist not evil. But whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also.
So turn to him the other also, meaning you forgive them because you correct them, but you forgive them for what they did. You understand? But you don't what? What don't you do? Somebody offends you, you correct them, they hear you out. Now, what's something that you shouldn't do?
Seek revenge.
Okay, that's true. Go ahead, Art.
Keep talking about it after the situation's handled.
That's very true. Both things are very true, but you shouldn't forget. You shouldn't forget what he did to your cheek. Salagia. You shouldn't forget what he did to you, right? You should forgive him, but you shouldn't forget what he did. You understand? Because if he does it again, Yeah, now it's different. Now, okay, come on, bro. You did it the second time. You understand? Keep going up.
And if any man will sue thee at the law and take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also.
Okay, stop right there. Now let's go to 1815. Matthews.
Come on.
Okay, just Quisha, is this physically only or also verbally? Like if in it's both. It's verbally and okay, verbally. I mean, if a brother hurts, if in the ISUPK, if a brother is in the truth and another brother attacks you that's not in the truth and he hits you, in the UPK we teach self-defense. You understand? We teach self-defense to where the other person is no longer a threat, right? So we will defend ourselves, but you know, if a sister, right? Sisters are in the world. Sister hits you, you might hit her back. You understand? It's just a normal reaction. You understand? Now, you guys should um settle it.
Right.
You understand? But is this physically only or also verbally? It's both. Physically and verbally. You understand? I'll go ahead and read that up. Now, if you want to learn how to settle arguments and disagreements, get into ISUPK. You understand? If you're a woman in here, no man will put his hands on you because you got brothers in here who won't allow that.
Right.
Brothers will never allow a woman to get hurt in here.
Right.
You understand? Any woman like that will get kicked out of this school. You understand? Any brother like that will get kicked out of this school who wants to hurt another brother or another sister. We do not allow that in here. Go ahead and read that out.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
Now, if your brother offends you, right? If he says something to you, or your sister says something to you, go ahead out for me. Go ahead out. If you, okay, Salaki. Okay, you got it. He got it up. Read it again, not.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee,
if your brother offends you in any way, shape, or form, if you think that if he offended you, go ahead.
Go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone.
We're gonna pass the class to Captain Gadalhar.
Brother bottom. Armbands. Solid. Come on right now. Where y'all brothers at?
Matthew 18:15. If your brother thy offended, if your brother offended,
Yeah, okay. Who had the question? That's someone's question?
Lady on the YouTube.
Oh, okay. Let's go back.
You want me to read the question for you, sir?
Yeah. You got it?
She said,
Let me see if I get it. I don't see a question. If I hurt a person, is that one? If I hurt a person, no matter the race, should I ask for forgiveness or they forgive me no matter the race or whatever? So she's saying whatever race that someone is, she asking for forgiveness? Is that what you got from me? Okay.
she had another question
After that. Okay, go ahead.
What I got from this is that she's trying to understand forgiveness. That's what I just stuck to.
Okay. That's what I'll give you some precepts. Yeah, the precept you brought out is him and him alone for sure. Go to that person. You know what I'm saying? That's a protocol for Israelites. 1 second. Okay. Hold on. Proverbs 24:16.
24 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
For a just man falleth 7 times
Okay.
and riseth up again.
Nah, that ain't the one I wanted. Just break it down her question for me, y'all, if you could. Alazar.
What was that?
You break down that question for me?
Basically, her question.
Yeah.
Basically, she's asking, let's say I verbally or physically do someone harm, or do somebody wrong. She's looking for scriptures to combat that.
Scriptures to combat that.
Even
Okay.
if she got her physically.
Okay. There's give me Matthew 18:21.
The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me?
Go ahead.
And I forgive him?
Mm-hmm.
Till 7 times? Yahweh shall saith unto him, I say not unto thee, until 7 times 7, until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
Y'all understand that, right?
Come.
You got to forgive that person as much time they ask for forgiveness. You understand? Right. And vice versa. So if the person asks you for forgiveness, you forgive that person. You know what I mean? And vice versa. All right. No matter what race they are. You get what I mean? If you wrong the person that's a heathen, that doesn't mean they don't deserve an apology from you. You understand, right? You still give that person an apology. All right. You got to remember, we got to carry ourselves with class. You understand? No swear. Any questions off the topic?
I gotta pull it up, sir, but it was in my mind. I had a question on about it's a breakdown. I was talking to a brother in the world in my slavery,
Mm-hmm.
and he was bringing up the scripture where about the rich man and Lazarus.
Right.
And then he brought up Abraham. Is that part of that story?
You got to pull the story. Any other questions? Go ahead.
So like I said, so 2 Kings 5, I actually brought up to a couple guys, about when Gehazi, so it was Naaman who was a Syrian, and Gehazi, Elisha was the prophet at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Gehazi was, I would say, his second in command, or his, I know Elisha was his other one.
Okay.
And at the end of the verse, 2 Kings 5 and 27, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Pull it.
2 Kings 5 and 27. The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and to thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. I was speaking about leprosy and albinoism, and I do have 2 cousins who have leprosy.
Right.
Vitiligo.
Right.
So in albino, I don't know. Are all albinos because of Gehazi, or so? I can't explain. So Gehazi did not follow the order from Elisha.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did not and lied to Elisha. He was given, him and his seed forever was given not leprosy but albinoism.
You're saying does it all stem from him?
Not all. I know Cain is what he is, but albinos specifically, do they all come from Gehazi, or
No.
is it just a few?
Nah, it doesn't. Because heathens aren't albino. You know what I mean? So no, they don't all stem from him. It's just a curse from the Lord. You know what I mean? Any albino, any Israelite that's albino can be in the truth. And I know that ain't your question, but that's true. They can be in the truth. They can be saved and all that. You understand? Right? So no, it doesn't all come from him. That was for his family, though.
Right, his seed.
Yeah, for the seed. You understand?
Right.
All right, no sweat. Any questions? Any other questions? Let me see. Anything online? Is this the physical or only also verbal? Like if in a disagreement and argument? So like it's just, can you rephrase that question? Mm-hmm. I read someone else's question. I have a question. Have I heard nobody? Okay. Okay. If you could just rephrase your question at the very bottom so I can read it, all right? Y'all good? Any other questions? Go ahead, Ash.
I found the story.
Go ahead.
It's from it's Luke 16.
Luke 16?
So Luke
Mhm.
16, verse 19 through 26.
Okay.
So the book of Luke, chapter 16 and verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. Verse 20. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus which was laid at his gate full of sores. Verse 21. And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, moreover the dogs came and licked his sores. Verse 22.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom.
Mm-hmm.
The rich man also died and was buried.
Go ahead.
Verse 23. And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Verse 24. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue.
What was the question?
Okay, I have like questions in a few verses, sir. So my first question is in verse 22, sir. What does it mean when it says that he was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom?
Who?
The beggar, Lazarus.
Why you think so?
Because the Lord had mercy because he was poor.
Yeah, the Lord was with him, right? Read it again. Read that verse again.
Verse 22. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried
But
by the angel.
one line before it.
Verse 21. And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table.
Mm-hmm. One more line.
Another one up.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 20. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus which was laid at his gate full of sores.
Right. So this is a homeless brother, right? Full of sores, right? Full of sore sickness, right? At a rich man's house, right? Go ahead.
Verse 21. And desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table.
Desiring to eat the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. Go ahead.
Moreover, the dog came and licked his sores.
The dog came and licked his sores. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And it came to pass that the beggar died.
Mm-hmm.
And was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. So, if I could, sir, what is Abraham's bosom? Like the angels took his spirit just to the Most High? Is that all I'm saying?
I'm trying to think of Abraham's bosom. Keep reading. Let me hear it.
The rich, and it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom.
Mm-hmm.
The rich man also died and was buried. Verse 23. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Verse 24. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his fingers in the water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. Verse 25. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. Verse 26. And beside all this, between us and you there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence.
Okay, I'm not familiar. I know the concept what the breakdown mean, what the breakdown is trying to say, but I'm not familiar with those, with the fingertip in the lake and all that in the water. So just text it to me, all right? All right, no sweat. Any other questions? Good to go?
Cool.
All right, now hold on 1 second. We're going to a few topics. We're going to go into who Christ died for in the Bible, right? 1 second. We'll hold that to the end. We're going to Peter's vision too, all right? Let's get that first. Let's get Peter's vision. We get Acts 10 and 1. Acts 10:1.
Acts chapter 10, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2. A devout man, and one that feared the Most High with all his house.
God, y'all understand, right? Is it the end of 2?
Loud,
Keep going.
Which gave much alms to the people and praise to the Most High always.
Mm-hmm. That's the end of 2? All right, no sweat. So in times when people read this, people read this precept, they believe that what? Go ahead.
Cornelius is a Gentile.
Right, he's a Gentile, right? Or not a non-Israelite, right?
Okay.
So how do you prove that Cornelius is not a Gentile or a non-Israelite? Because he is a Gentile. Y'all understand? Well, how is he a Gentile? Go ahead.
He's a Gentile the same way we're Gentiles.
How?
I was in the
Using the precept. What was you gonna say?
I was in the white man's military.
There you go. He was in the white man's military, right? And anyone knows that if you cannot join any military, that's a sin. That's like having a mark of the beast. You understand? You cannot join the white man's military. Of course, a lot of us don't know that. That's why we are Gentiles. That's why we are not born in the truth. You understand, right? Like our children cannot be that because they're born in the truth.
Right.
You understand? So okay. So now he said, what? Read it again. End of 2.
The book of Acts chapter 10, verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
A devout man and one that feared the Most High with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to the Most High always.
Right. So now he fears the Most High. That's one key. I score.
So, like, sir, I have a precept to back up when it says a devout man.
Go ahead. Let me hear it.
Acts chapter 2, verse 5.
Hold on. Let me see. That doesn't show me that. That doesn't prove anything. Salaki, yes, it does. I got that in my notes. Hold that, right? There's another precept, though. There's another precept. There's another precept that shows you that Cornelius is an Israelite. One that fears the Most High. Somebody know it? Psalms? Give me Psalms. There is that one. 147, 19 and 20. This is what you want to show, right? This is what you want to pull out. And we're going to break this whole thing down, but I want to show you each precept to prove it, right? And this proves that what? Everyone that fears God is an Israelite. You cannot be a non-Israelite and fear God. You understand?
The book of Psalms, chapter 147, verse 19. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statute and his judgment unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation.
He has not what?
He have not dealt so with any nation.
Right, so this is how you prove it, right? His statutes and his judgments were only given unto who?
Israel.
Unto who?
Israel.
Israel, right? Israel is who again? Jacob, right? Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Keep reading.
He have not dealt so with any nation.
Go ahead.
And as for his judgment.
And as for his what?
And as for his judgment.
Go ahead.
They have not known them.
Right. So now that ties into what? Letting you know that no one that's outside of the nation of Israel can be given the judgments, can be given the statutes and laws. But now the people, what would Christians say? That's the Old Testament, right? So you got to prove it to me in the New Testament. Where would you go? And then we're gonna go right back. Go ahead.
Romans 9 and 4.
Let me hear it.
The book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law.
Say it again.
And the giving of the law.
That's what you want. The covenants and the giving of the law. Y'all understand, right? So this is two precepts that you use in the Old Testament and New Testament just to prove this in Acts, right? Just to prove this in Acts. So now we proved that what? Cornelius indeed is an Israelite. You understand? He's indeed an Israelite. So now I'm going to break down to you. Peter's vision, right? A lot of people might not know what Peter's vision even is talking about, right? But in a Christian church, Peter's vision is talking about, in their mind, is talking about eating unclean animals. You understand, right? So they'll use this story to prove that you can eat pork or you can eat, shrimp, crab, lobster, when this indeed is not even talking about food. You understand, right? The clean and unclean beasts that Peter is going to devour are not talking about food. And we're going to get to that in 1 second, all right? So now, let's go from here, right? Let's go up to 11, verse 11, and take me to the end of 17, all right?
The book of Acts chapter 10, verse 11. And saw heaven opened, and a certain vessel descending upon him.
So now we're getting into Peter's vision. No sweat. We'll wait for you. It's Acts 10 and 11. Don't sweat. It's in the New Testament. This is important. You got to definitely stay with it. So, like, is this new right here, Oscar? Yeah. I don't remember ever seeing it up. You there, sis? All right, so now let's go Acts 10 and 11.
The book of Acts chapter 10, verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
And saw heaven opened, and a certain vessel descending upon him. And as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 12, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the earth.
Right, so now he's talking about wild beasts, creeping things, and what other earth?
And fowls of the earth.
And fowls of the earth. Go ahead.
And there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat.
Rise, Peter, kill and eat. Go ahead.
But Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Y'all understand, right? For I haven't eaten anything that is common and unclean. So he's getting the vision in his dream. So imagine, he's getting a vision from the Lord, and the Lord is telling him to eat the unclean beast. And he's like, that can't mean that. Why would the Lord say, eat this beast when this is unlawful? Right? Go ahead.
And verse 15. And the voice spake unto him again the second time. What the Most High have cleansed, that call not thou coming.
Right. What the Most High has cleansed, not, say it again. Thou not what?
What the Most High have cleansed, that call not thou coming.
Right. Go ahead.
This was done thrice.
This was done 3 times. Go ahead.
And the vessel was received up again into heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 17. Now while Peter doubted himself.
So he's looking at the dream, the vision, right? He's like, hey, what? Why would he say that? He's trying to decipher. Remember, dreams don't ever necessarily mean exactly how they come, right? You might get a dream of something and it means something else.
Right.
That's exactly what happened with Peter. Go ahead.
Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house.
Right. Okay. So they made inquiry for Simon's house. So now let's go to this, right? Leviticus, the 11th chapter. Take me down to the hoof, right? Take me down to the hoof where the pig is unclean and the creepy thing is unclean. Just read the pig part for me. The swine.
20.
11 and 7.
The book of Leviticus chapter 11 verse 7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof.
Listen, and the swine, though he devoured the hoof, go ahead.
And be cloven-footed.
And be cloven-footed, go ahead.
Yet he chewed not the cud.
Right, so that's one of the things that Peter's seen, and he's seen a more thing, the creeping things, right? These are unclean beasts. So now give me Malachi 3 and 6.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
For I am the Lord, I change not.
The Lord said he does not change. You understand that, right? There's no way that he's telling you now that you can eat pork. Now, this is an Old Testament, of course, still, right? So now let's find it in the New Testament. Give me Matthew 5 and 17.
The book of Matthew chapter 5 verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
So now Christ in the New Testament is saying what?
Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
Think not that I come to destroy the law. Go ahead.
Or the prophets.
Or the prophets. Go ahead.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Y'all understand, right? So now in the New Testament, Christ is saying what? I didn't come to destroy the law. The law still stands. There's nothing that's changing from the law because I'm here now. Y'all understand? So all this you write down, you put in your notes, you organize it correctly just to prove those two things, right? So Peter known that what? This is not, I'm not supposed to eat this. This means something else, but he was still trying to decipher it. So he met these brothers came to him, right? Let's go there.
Say 17, sir.
Come, keep going.
The book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 17. Now, while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house and stood before the gate. Verse 18. And called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, behold, 3 men seek thee.
Go ahead.
Arise therefore and get thee down and go with them, doubting nothing.
Doubting what?
Doubting nothing.
What verse you at?
Verse 20.
Go ahead.
Doubting nothing, for I have sent them.
Go ahead.
Verse 21. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius and said, behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come? Verse 22. And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth the Most High.
Go ahead.
And of good report among all the nation of the Jews, was warned from the Most High by an holy angel to send for thee into his house, and to hear words of thee.
Keep going.
Then called he them in and lodged them. And on the morrow, Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him.
Go ahead.
Verse 24. And the morrow after they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius waited for them, and he had called together his kinsmen and near friends. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet.
What verse you at?
25.
25. Go ahead.
And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet.
Right. So Peter now knows that what? The animals were a metaphor. You understand? He knew that it was a metaphor. He's starting to understand and get it now that this wasn't about eating animals. This wasn't about that. Right? Remember, because what? Cornelius was what? To Peter, he was unclean.
Come.
Why? Go ahead.
He was a Gentile servant in the Gentile force.
That's true, but what else though? It's something you have to say. Ash.
He wasn't keeping the law.
No, he's a devout man. He was keeping the law.
Right.
Because he was an Israelite. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Speaking Greek tongue?
No, because he was an Israelite born outside Jerusalem.
Come.
That's what you want to remember. Why do we call it Gentiles? Because these people were born outside of Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Is that part of the law? That's somewhere in the law?
Yes, it's in Leviticus. If you're born outside Jerusalem, you're not. I think if you wasn't circumcised on the 7th day, you're cut off, or 8th day, you're cut off. You wasn't born in Jerusalem, you cut off. You know what I mean? All these things.
Right. Come.
You know what I mean? Those are all in Leviticus. And this is what happened. So Peter, being a brother who was born in Jerusalem, looked at this cat like, he was a heathen. You understand? Matter of fact, you can hold that. Give me Acts 2:29.
The book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 29.
Is that it? Salaki, let me hear it.
Men and brethren, let me freely speak unto you of the patriarch David, that he is both dead and buried, and is
No, that's not it. I think it's Galatians 3:29. Let me find it real quick. Circumcision. Romans 2:25 through 29.
The book of Romans chapter 2, verse 25. for circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law.
Right. So now, this is Paul speaking. Paul is telling the brothers in Jerusalem, right? He said, circumcision verily profiteth if you keep the law. Meaning this, if you don't keep the law, it doesn't profit you. Right?
Right.
Go ahead.
But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
Go ahead. Your circumcision is made uncircumcision, meaning what? That you're not cut off in the spirit. I mean, in the flesh. I mean, yeah, it's like in the spirit. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
Go ahead.
Verse 20.
Go ahead.
All right. What? Okay.
Read again.
Verse Romans 2:25. For circumcision verily profiteth.
Circumcision verily profiteth. It doesn't. Surely it profited. If you're circumcised, surely that does profit you. Go ahead. If thou keep the law, meaning this, you got to be a cat that is circumcised and keeps the law. Go ahead.
But if thou be a breaker of the law,
but if you break the law,
thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
Your circumcision is made like you're uncircumcised spiritually. Because you broke the law. The whole point of getting circumcised is that you kept every single law from the beginning. Go ahead.
Verse 26. Therefore, if the uncircumcision.
That's why if you're uncircumcised, go ahead.
Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law.
If he keep the righteousness of the law, go ahead.
Shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
You understand that? Should not his uncircumcision be counted as circumcision? So we're talking about flesh and spirit.
Right.
You understand? His uncircumcision, like him being uncircumcised because of what Christ came for, would not hold him against getting to the kingdom of heaven.
Right.
Because he's uncircumcised and keeps the law, he's a brother who will profit. You get what I'm saying? Like there could be brothers in the truth right now who are not circumcised, but they are circumcised in the spirit. Y'all understand? Go ahead.
Okay, and being circumcised is a law, right?
When
you're born.
Right.
So it's not okay. Us being born, not being in the truth as babies, we didn't get circumcised. So is this why Paul is saying it? Because there was Israelites who were born outside of Jerusalem and they didn't get circumcised. So he's just making it easier to where you don't have to circumcise a grown man.
Yes, kind. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. Like once you're like, Commander Jane Hunter got a circumcision at like 14 years old. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's the worst pain he said he ever can imagine. You know what I mean? But like, I was circumcised as a baby. You get what I'm saying? So like, but if you're not circumcised, the Lord doesn't hold that against you. That's what he's saying. You get what I mean? That's all. Katazar. No, you don't have to. It'd be better for your health, It'd be better for that down there. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Of course, if you have a child, you should do it to them, right?
Yes, absolutely. You should. You have to now, because you're in the truth. You have to. You have to get your son circumcised. You understand? Now I don't know if they might do it on the 8th day, because some hospitals just won't do it. I mean, it might be like 2 weeks or something like that. But you're trying to get it as soon as possible. All right. I know Cedar Sinai now, they'll do it on the 8th day. That's a hospital in Beverly Hills. All right. Where we at? Keep reading. 27.
The book of Romans chapter 2 verse 27.
I'll get you a question at the end of classes.
And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee.
Right. By nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee. Go ahead.
Who by the letter and circumcision thou transgressed the
right.
law?
There's a letter of the law. There's a letter of the law. Right? Read again.
The book of Romans chapter 2 verse 27.
And
shall not uncircumcision.
And shall not uncircumcision. Go ahead.
Which is by nature,
which is by nature. It's natural. The baby comes out this way. Go ahead.
if it fulfill the law,
If it fulfill the law, go ahead.
Judge thee,
who
by the letter and circumcision doth transgress the law.
But by the person by the letter who keeps the law by the letter, he transgresses the law. Go ahead.
For he is not a Jew.
He is not a what?
He is not a Jew.
Go ahead.
Which is one outwardly.
He is not a Jew. You understand that? He might, listen, he got circumcised on the 8th day, but he transgressed the law. He's not a Jew, which is one outwardly, meaning he is, but he transgressed the law. That should make him a Gentile or an outcast. You understand? Go ahead.
For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly.
Mm-hmm.
Neither is that circumcision, which is outward in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 29.
Go ahead.
But he is a Jew.
But he is a Jew. Go ahead.
Which is one inwardly.
That's just one inwardly. It matters what you do in your spirit. Go ahead.
And circumcision is that of the heart.
Of the what?
Of the heart.
Of your mind. Y'all understand? That's what he's talking about. He's just telling brothers and sisters, brothers from two different sides of the spectrums, right? You got brothers who were circumcised on the 8th day and brothers that are Gentiles who are not circumcised on the 8th day. But these cats that are Gentiles that weren't circumcised are keeping the law, and these cats aren't. Right. And these cats are judging the uncircumcised for being born outside, but they are sinners as well. Right. They're hypocrites.
Right.
You understand? So that's all he's saying. Paul is cutting them by telling them what they're doing, by who they are. You get what I mean? He said, yeah, you can be circumcised and you kept the law, Most High in Christ, but you broke the law. And this cat is uncircumcised and haven't broke the law. Right. You understand? So that's all that come down to. So now, where was we at earlier? Acts 2 and 25, right? Oh, it's like 10 and 25.
Come.
Okay, no sweat. So now, give me Galatians 2 and 11.
The book of Galatians, chapter 2, verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed.
He was to be blamed. Go ahead.
For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles.
He didn't eat with the what?
With the Gentiles.
Before James came. Go ahead. Who? Oh, yeah. Wait for the. No, we're doing that for the show. Oh, okay. No sweat. Go ahead.
The book of Galatians, chapter 2, verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
But when Peter was come to Antioch,
well, Peter would listen. This is important. This is why Peter got this vision, because he forgot the mission. The mission was Christ's mission to go into the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Y'all remember that precept, right? When Christ said that, he was telling the brothers in Jerusalem to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel outside of Jerusalem. Y'all understand? That was the whole point. So now Peter is getting it. Peter, it's like if Paul is going to Peter, and he is going to withstand him to his face, meaning he is going to go to him and him alone, and tell Peter how he was wrong for what he did, and he's going to tell him why he's wrong. Go ahead.
But when Peter was come to Antioch,
when Peter went to Antioch, that's a city, right, where a lot of Israelites are that are Gentiles. Go ahead.
I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed.
He was to be blamed for what though? Go ahead.
For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles.
Before who?
Before that certain came from James.
That certain came from James. Go ahead.
He did eat with the Gentiles.
He did eat with the Gentiles. Meaning this. Go ahead, Ash.
So it's saying that when James wasn't there, he was eating with the Gentiles.
Yes, yes. And why?
I assume, from what I remember, because James was born in Jerusalem.
James was born in Jerusalem.
So when he wasn't there, he was eating with the Gentiles.
Because what?
Because James wasn't there.
Yeah, but what is the point though?
He was ashamed.
Yeah, there you go. He was ashamed because he was mingling with the unclean.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
So then that means that James also had the same mindset as Peter.
Right. They all did in Jerusalem. They thought they were better.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. The book of Galatians chapter 2, verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles.
Go ahead.
But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself.
But when they came to the city, he withdrew and separated himself. Go ahead.
Fearing them which were of the circumcision.
But fearing them which were of the circumcision. Y'all understand, right? He would then want the brothers to come over here like, look at you, why you what you doing with them?
Right.
Then we're not supposed to be around them, which is not true. You understand?
Right.
Go ahead.
And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him.
And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him. Go ahead.
Insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation.
Right. Barnabas, another disciple, he was like, oh, I guess I got to get down too.
Right.
And these are all cats that were doing what they were doing was correct. By sitting with those Gentiles and letting them feel that spirit. You get what I'm saying? Of knowing how to roll and knowing to keep the law and what to do. That was right of them. Until the other brothers who didn't understand the mission came down, they was like, oh, damn, I ain't trying to get talked about. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead, sis.
Jesus Christ did that too, right? He used to sit and eat with the tax collectors.
Absolutely. Precept. Go ahead.
Is it like when Paul said, "Unto the lowly, I make myself"?
That's a good one. I want what Christ said. Christ said, "Why would I sit with them that are whole when I sit with the sick?" Y'all know what I'm talking about? Pull that real quick. When the Sadducees and Pharisees try to come to Christ and say, why are you sitting with them? He said, I'm sitting with them that are sick. Why would I sit with the whole? I'm paraphrasing, of course.
The book of Mark, chapter 2, verse 13. And he went forth again by the seaside, and all the multitude resorted unto him, and he taught them. And as he passed, verse 14, and as he passed, he saw Levi, the son of Alphanes.
Now give me the account in Matthew.
Mark 2 and 16.
Hold on. Nine and 12. 12. Sorry, 10. It's like it.
The book of Matthew, chapter 9, verse 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
10. And it came to pass as Yahushua said at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples.
Go ahead.
And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eateth your master with publicans and sinners?
Right. Why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? Go ahead.
But when Yahushua, it's like in verse 12, but when Yahushua heard that, he said unto them, they that be whole need not a physician.
You understand that, right? Them that are whole need not a physician. Go ahead.
But they that are sick.
Mm-hmm.
But go ye and learn what that meaneth.
You understand that, right? So let's drop that. So now let's go back.
Galatians chapter 2, verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself.
Keep going.
Fearing them which were of the circumcision.
Mm-hmm.
And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him.
Go ahead.
Insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation.
Go ahead.
But when I saw that they walked not uprightly.
Not what?
Not uprightly.
Go ahead.
According to the truth of the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
I said unto Peter before them all, if thou, being a Jew, livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews?
You understand that, right? What is he saying? Anyone want to break it down? He basically saying, why would you even sit with them if you're going to get up when the other cats are coming here, right? He was like, if you're going to be a Jew, but don't fake like you a Jew sometimes, and then and and other times you want to sit with the Gentiles. That's what he's saying. You understand? Pick it up, Oscar. Okay, go ahead.
Was Paul wrong?
No. Precept. Your question was Paul wrong for coming to check the brother over?
Like in front of everybody.
He didn't check. He didn't come in front of everybody.
But it says before them all.
No. Don't think about it like that. Don't think about it like he just checked them in front of everybody. That's not what he did.
Oh, so before them all, what is that talking about?
Before they're around, that doesn't mean in front of everybody though. Read it again. Read that part again.
Verse Galatians 2:14.
Uh-huh.
But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if thou being a Jew livest after the manner of the Gentiles, and not as do the Jews.
Oh, okay. Khan, Salaki, that's correct. Was he wrong for that?
You know, because of Matthew 18-15.
Was he wrong for that? No. Go ahead.
Wasn't it some people who were with him that thought the same way? That's why he said it.
Right. It was multiple people doing it. It was, you know what I mean? It was all of them. Remember, it was more than just Peter that was doing it. A couple of brothers got up. Barnabas got up. You get what I'm saying? So no, he wasn't wrong. But there is a precept that you can pull though.
To say that he was right.
Yes. Give me 1 Timothy 5:1.
Timothy chapter 5 and verse 1. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren.
You understand that, right? That's how he treated them. He treated them just like that. And nothing of what he said was wrong. You understand? Nothing.
So Paul knew that Peter was above him, so that's how he.
Yes. Peter was in charge. Remember, he was in charge because Christ he built the school on Peter. You understand? Peter was his rock. Can you answer this? I don't know. Slacking in mind. All right. So now let's go back. Galatians.
So the book of Galatians chapter 2.
13.
And verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
And the other Jews dissembled likewise with him.
Go ahead.
So much that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation.
Keep going.
Verse 14. But when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if thou being a Jew livest after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews?
Go ahead.
Verse 15.
That's it. All right. So solid. You understand? He withstood him to his face. So now let's go to Acts 10 and 25.
Book of Acts chapter 10 verse 25. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and worshipped him.
Mm-hmm.
But Peter took him up, saying, stand up. I myself also am a man.
You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 27. And he walked with him. He went in and found many that were come together. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
You understand that, right? So Christians will use that to say what? Go ahead.
They can eat pork.
No, they can eat pork. That they can be saved. That's what they would use. Read it again.
Verse 28, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Acts 10 and 28. And he said unto them, ye know that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation, but God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
You understand that?
Oh, I see.
Go ahead, Ash.
So Christians teach that the Jews here is the Jews right now in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And that they can be saved because they're the people supposedly.
Because the scripture just said the Jews gotta accept them.
Right.
They gotta accept the other nations.
Okay, so the Christians think that they're the people, they're the Gentiles.
Yeah. You understand that, right? Verse 12. Go back to verse 12. Would you read 28? Read 28 one more time.
Acts 10 and 28. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
You understand? So now verse 12. Let's go. Jump down to verse 12 real quick.
Verse 12, wherein all manner of the four-footed beasts of the earth and wild beasts and creepy things and fowls of the air.
Mm-hmm. Why we want to jump down to verse 12? Now, this is where you say, Latazar.
Right. That's where they come in.
There you go. That's how you know this ain't talking about food.
Right.
And that's how this is what you have to show them in 25, right? 25 proves that 12 is not talking about food. You understand, right? All right, no sweat. So now you can drop that out. Give me Acts 10 and 34.
The book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 34.
Uh-huh.
Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that the Most High is no respecter of persons.
Right. So remember, Christ is not, the Most High is not a respecter of persons. Go ahead.
But in every nation.
But in what?
But in every nation.
But in every nation, go ahead.
He that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him.
You understand that, right? So a Christian also will use this verse to say, see, every person that accepted Christ and worship him is accepted in him. Keep going.
The word which the Most High sent unto the children of Israel.
The children of who?
The children of Israel.
Right. You understand? Because where was this brother from? Go ahead.
The Italian man.
Okay, I forget. Cyprus. Wasn't he from Cyprus, right?
Cyprus.
He's from Cyprus, right? It's a city. This is a city in. Go ahead.
Caesarea.
Salakia. He's from Caesarea, which is also in Asia Minor, which is outside of Jerusalem. You understand? So that's why he's a person of another nation. You understand? Just like when the cat said they was in Cyprus, in Antioch.
Right.
Those are other cities as well that were outside of Jerusalem where Jews were dwelling, right? We could pull a couple of precepts where Jews were dwelling as well. Hold that. Matter of fact, read the rest of that, Salakia.
The book of Acts.
Read 36 one more time.
Chapter 10, verse 36.
And this is what you got to use because you got to cut them with 35. Cut 35 with 36. Keep going.
But in verse 35, but in every nation,
he
that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him.
Right.
The word which the Most High sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Hamashiach Yahushua.
Y'all understand that, right? The word that the children of Israel got, because these cats were in different nations. These Israelites were in different nations, right? So now let's pull up a couple of precepts. Give me Ezekiel 37 and 16.
Book of Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 16. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Go ahead.
Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. And join them one to another into one stick.
You understand? That was supposed to be the vision. That was the vision, to bring the Israelites together, right? The house of Judah and the house of Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Now go to 22 and 3. I mean, it's like it, verse 22 until 23.
Verse 22, and I will make them one nation.
I'll make them what?
One nation.
And I'll make them one nation but why? Because before we were separated. You understand, right? We were separated. We're going to be one nation. Go ahead.
In the land upon the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be the king of them all.
Go ahead.
And they shall be no more two nations.
And they shall be no more what?
Two nations.
Y'all understand? What was the two nations that we were talking about? Go ahead. Yes, that's true. And there's another one. It's not really a nation, but it's precept. Go ahead. Jews and Gentiles. Y'all understand? They're going to be one. There ain't going to be no more Jews and Gentiles. We're all going to be Jews. Y'all understand? Go ahead.
Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all.
Y'all understand? We're not going to be divided anymore at all. Is that the end of 23? Keep going.
Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things,
Mm-hmm.
nor with any of the transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power.
This was a prophecy that was going to happen, and the prophecy is coming to pass now with Peter. You understand? So this is in the Old Testament, but Peter's doing it now. Than what we're reading about. You get what I mean? So this what was going to happen, and is happening now. You get what I'm saying? So he's saving these brothers who grew up outside of Jerusalem and making them whole again. You understand? Keep going. It's like at the end of 23. All right, now give me 1 Kings 8:48. That's a heavy precept. If y'all want to put that in that vision, you know what I mean? At the end of the breakdown, throw that in that vision just to show what was the prophecy that was going to happen, written from Ezekiel. Right? This is probably like 2,000 years later. Yeah, 8:48. 1 Kings 8:48.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 48.
Mm-hmm.
And so return unto thee with all their heart and with all their soul.
Right. So we are going to return with all thy heart, all your mind, and all your soul. Go ahead.
In the land of their enemies.
In the land of where?
Of their enemies.
Another prophecy. You understand? In the land of our enemies, we're going to return to what? The truth. We're going to return back to being a Jew. You understand? Keep going.
Which led them away captive and pray unto thee toward their land.
You understand, right? The people that led us away captive, and we prayed toward their land. Go ahead.
Which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name.
Solid. Is that it on that? Give me 2 Chronicles 6:37.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 6, verse 37. Yet, if they bethink themselves in the land whither they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly. Verse 38, if they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whither they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I have built for thy name.
Go ahead.
Verse 39. Then hear thou from the heavens, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee. Verse 40.
I'll take that. You can drop that. Everything that you just read is what the brother did. What's the brother name? Cornelius. You understand? Cornelius did every single thing that we just read, and that's why his prayers were answered. Ash. This is 2 Chronicles 6:37. Everything he did is the reason why his prayers got answered. You understand? Because he was a Gentile. He was all these things, and then he became perfect by doing every single thing that was written in that precept. You understand? So now let me get Acts 2:5.
The book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men, out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which spake Galatian? And how hear we every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born.
Right, you understand that? So in Acts 2:5, this was the beginning of them getting the Holy Spirit. You understand? They wasn't fully in the truth at this time. They was learning the truth. You understand? That's all that was. But those are the devout men were Israelites, right? So now I'll give you a few precepts we're talking about. Go ahead.
nation under heaven. What does that mean? So,
Give me 1 Peter 1:1. Out of every nation means this, right? We were scattered. Remember? We were scattered. Give me just hold on 1 second. 1 second.
slide it, sir, if I could.
Mhm.
So out of every nation would be from where we were scattered, and then the multitude would be there from where everybody was coming together. That they make the multitude.
God, that's the multitude. Give me Ezekiel 36:16 and John 7:35. We'll get that one next. It's instead of 1 Peter, give me James 1:1.
Ezekiel
36:16.
36:16. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 36, verse 16.
And you can put this in your Peter's vision breakdown just to prove those things we were talking about. All right, go ahead.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way, and by their doings, their way was before me as the uncleanliness of a removed woman.
Go ahead.
Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it.
Go ahead.
And I scattered them.
And I what?
And I scattered them.
Go ahead.
Them among the heathen.
That's what you need right there. I scattered them among the heathen. That's what he did. He scattered us. He didn't put us all in one place, right?
Right.
He scattered us. We were not concentrated. Like you have these big cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Houston, Phoenix, whatever, all these huge cities, right? Like you're still mixed in there.
Right.
You get what I mean? That's a big population of black people in LA, in San Francisco, and Oakland, in Phoenix, in Houston, but you're scattered amongst heathens. You're not together. You get what I mean? Unless you're in somewhere in the poor of the city, right? So now that's one precept where he said he scattered. Keep reading. And I dispersed them amongst the heathens.
And they were dispersed throughout the countries according
Throughout
to
the what?
Throughout the countries.
Throughout the countries. Go ahead.
According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
You understand? According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. So whatever they like, that's what they want. Y'all get that? Go ahead, Doc.
So, what Ezekiel is saying already happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after this, did we ever go back to Jerusalem, or did we just continue?
No, we never.
So we just continue to just be amongst other people.
Wait, so like after this?
Yeah, like after what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a time after him?
No, that we got scattered again. Remember, these are different captivities. You know what I mean? Where captivities were done, and we'll go back, and then again. You get what I'm saying? And then again and again. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
So after each captivity, we would go back to Israel? Or
We'll go like we was in Jerusalem, but even in the times we were in Jerusalem, we didn't own it. That wasn't our home. Who was ruling in Jerusalem at that time? Anybody know?
With Ezekiel?
No. I'm talking about in the New Testament.
Rome.
Yeah, Rome. Rome was the empire. You know what I'm saying? And before that was with Ezekiel, I think it was Persia. You know what I mean? So there's different times and different parts of the Bible where we was getting it together, and then we'll go back into another captivity. Like whether it be for a year, whether it be for 50 years. You get what I'm saying? So yeah. But let me get James 1:1. Did I call James?
Come.
Ah.
So when we pull this precept, we can all. Is it good to say? Is it good to say that whenever we're punished for disobeying the Lord, He puts us among other nations, right?
Right. This was also being judged as, you're gonna always say this, you're not judged as individuals, you're judged as a nation. That's why it's important what you do. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
What you do matters. All right. So now James 1:1.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 1.
Mhm.
James, a servant of the Most High and of the Hamashiach, and of the outer one, Hamashiach Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which were scattered abroad, greeting.
So I can read it one more time. I got to distract you. Go ahead.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Hamashiach, and of the
Just read plain.
and of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered.
Which are what?
Which are scattered.
Which are scattered. That's what you want to use, right? Katazar? for the 12 tribes that are scattered. These are brothers that are scattered. One more time.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
Abroad, right? Abroad means over the country, right? Meaning living outside of one's own country. That's abroad.
Right.
Y'all understand, right? Now give me John 7:35.
That one was James.
1 and 1.
The book of John, chapter 7,
Verse 35.
verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go into the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Y'all understand that? Another one. Will he go into the who?
Unto the dispersed.
That's what you got to break down, man. That's what you got to break down right there. Will he go to the dispersed among the who?
Among the Gentiles.
Among the Gentiles. And teach the who?
And teach the Gentiles.
Come on. That's what you gotta be able to say, prove this and break down who that Gentile is, like we did. You understand?
Right.
Cornelius was a Gentile,
Right.
right? And Peter accepted him. And Peter did not accept heathens. You understand?
Right. Come on.
All right, solid. Last precept. Let me get Acts 11 and 19.
The book of Acts, chapter 11, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen
Mm-hmm.
traveled as far as Phoenice and Cyprus and Antioch.
Hold on. One more time. From the top.
The book of Acts, chapter 11, verse 19.
Mm-hmm. Read it slow so they can understand. Go ahead.
Now they which were scattered
Which were
abroad,
which were scattered. Go ahead.
which were scattered abroad
Mm-hmm.
upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenice
Go ahead.
and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only.
Unto the who?
Unto the Jews only.
Y'all understand, right?
Come on.
They went preaching the word to the Jews only. And they were living where?
Antioch.
No, they're living where?
Oh, scattered abroad.
Outside of Jerusalem. And where else though?
Phoenice.
No. And where else though? They were living outside of Jerusalem. Oh, there you go. Amongst other nations. That's what you want to preach. That's what you want to understand. They were living amongst these other people, but they were only preaching to the Jews.
Right.
What do we do when we go to Hollywood? We preach in front of everybody, and we're only talking to one people.
Right.
You understand? Same concept.
That's
All right.
Acts 2 and
That's Acts 11 and 19. All right, solid. Ash.
Sir, so I have a question, sir. In verse 19, when it says, "Now they which were scattered abroad," that's talking about the Israelites that were scattered by the Most High among other nations.
One more time, Salaki. Which then are scattered abroad.
So when it says, "Now they which were scattered abroad,"
Mm-hmm.
that's referring to the Israelites that were born among other nations.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Good to go. You got a question, Laza? You got a question?
it's question online.
Let me get the questions online. That's it on this topic. Any questions on the topic? Solid. Go ahead.
Okay, the sister said, Slakia, if you're in a disagreement with your blood sister that is not in the truth,
If you're in a disagreement with your blood sister that's not in the truth, go ahead.
and she hits you under the belt, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
would it be unrighteous to retaliate, or do you just turn the other cheek, sir?
Would you just turn the other cheek? Okay. You had just, I would have to get a little more details, right? But let's just say I answer for this. If you're in an argument with someone else, right, and they tell you what would be a below the belt comment someone would say? Go ahead.
So I could just bring up something that no one else knows about you. Something just very
Yeah, that's true. Like someone that no one knows about you, or go ahead. Talk about. She said it's her sister. Unless they got different moms. Let me see. Do you speak back? Okay. In short, no. You understand, right? Like, okay. There is battling in here. Like we battle. You get what I mean? Now, can you use your words without getting physical? This is the question. You understand? Like that is the question. Whoever gets physical first is the loser.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So now if someone is going to talk about you or talk about your journey in the truth and you're not this, you're not even real about it, and you're coming in and you're trying, and they're trying to do that, then you battle them and you use that mouth that you have and you battle them down and you talk about them. They talk about you, you talk about them. Just like I'll tell a brother this because we do it at camp, right? If someone wants to come up against the camp and speak bad against the camp and talk bad, sometimes we'll ignore them if it ain't good, and if it's an example that we can use, then we'll destroy them. You get what I'm saying? Because there's a demon that needs to be destroyed. So I would tell that sister, man, sometimes it's good to use your mouth and not turn the other cheek. You understand? Not turn the other cheek, right? Turn the other cheek. Can you pull that precept up? Turn the other cheek. Just imagine someone talking about you, and you just say, "Ah, no sweat, no sweat." Go ahead.
Matthew 5:39. But I say unto you that ye resist not evil.
That you resist not evil. Go ahead.
But whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also.
Break it down. What's that mean? Go ahead.
Is that saying is that saying like if somebody wants to offend you, it sounds to me like you just like how you said, so like no sweat, and like let him just keep going on.
Yeah, like there's two things to it, right? This one is talking about like you getting revenge, right? Revenge is like that's what that means. Like you don't resist the evil to get revenge because if something happened to you, you feel like you got to get revenge.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And that's true. You should not get revenge. You should resist the evil. But someone's attacking your character for being in the truth, you have to blaze them. Like the scriptures, like we are defenders of the faith. You understand that? We defend the truth. We defend the faith. If someone's attacking you because of the truth, blaze on them. But if someone's attacking you because you're being a hypocrite, then you should get blazed on. You should not say anything. You should just get blazed on and checked by that person in the world. You get what I'm saying? That's what you should do. But if it's personal, if it's a personal matter, like I said, I would have to give more specifics, right? If it's a personal matter, there is a sign that says that you should just not give a damn. Who cares what this person is saying? I don't care if it's your sister, your mother, your father. Who cares? Who gives a damn? You understand? There's that aspect as well. But if anyone ever talks about you and your character and the truth, I will always blaze. I will always go in on them. How they don't got a man. How they're they're this, they're that, they're a hoe. You gotta go there. You get what I'm saying? You gotta go there because they're trying to hurt you. So you hurt them. Go ahead.
So I have a precept.
Of course, we're talking about the truth. Go ahead.
So I have a precept, and it's okay. I'll just ask it after I read it. So. The book of Luke, chapter 17 and verse 3. Take heed to yourselves. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him, and if he repent, forgive him. Can the rebuke him? Okay, I know it's talking about correcting the brother, pulling to the side, but can it also refer to what you're saying about blazing on that person?
Hell yeah.
Okay, so the rebuking can also be that too.
Yeah. Have you ever got fired up in the check-in?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay then. that give you an answer. You get your check-in, you get a blaze on the check-in is a blaze, and you just like, well, damn. All right, that's that. You get what I'm saying? And that's it. You're done. But like I said, sis, if you got, I'll probably need specifics to answer your question. All right. But anyone that's trying to come against you in the truth, blaze on them all the time. All the time. Talk about them. Go there with them. When I mean go there, go there. They went there, no problem, right? You said they went below the belt. Go there. Go there. I would go there and I would hurt somebody. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
You said if somebody what?
If someone is trying to come against you because of you being in the truth, and they're trying to hit below the belt, right? Basically, they're trying to bring you back into this old person, this of who you are, and people don't like change. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't like when you change, so they start to talk about you and thinking they say things like, "Oh, you think you perfect, or you think you this, or you think you that." When it's because it's a demon on them. You know what I mean? That demon misses that comfort of you being like them. You get what I'm saying? So you have to just blaze them and call them everything that comes to your mind. You understand? Whatever comes to your mind, you should say it to that person so you can hurt them and break them, and maybe they won't never talk to you again. And it'll be that. All right. Any other questions?
I don't know if you want this one, sir.
Let me hear it.
Or Shalom, are y'all teaching under the comforter or no, sir?
Under the comforter?
Yeah, concept.
Who is this?
Is it Sharangas?
What's that mean? Under the comforter?
I'm not sure.
Probably think we put it with the candy cane.
That's what I thought. Is that what she's saying? No, we're teaching under Commander Jeniana.
Right.
That's that. All right. Any other questions on there? Any questions in the room? All right, Salah Ashkur. With that, I'm Pastor Casa, Priest Officer Ashkur. Oh, just to let you know, the comforter is dead. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Yes.
He died.
He did.
He died in prison on COVID and a whole bunch of other things. All right? Go ahead.
Men of Israel, mind you, Sar faced the teacher. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Elijah Shabbat, Elijah, Barak, Sar faced the Aquatin, please stand. Sar, brothers, sisters. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Elijah Shabbat, Elijah, Barak, Yadi Matah dismissed.